engagements, the questions which have been asked, I'll try to just include more information because the timing was very short. Are we really, as Chapter 9 institutions, independent? We would want to believe we are independent, but unfortunately we are not, or we depend on the very same state to provide for our sustenance, especially on issues of resources. I mean, if you control the purse, then you can dictate, the direction. But we're trying our level best to operate independently. What I need to indicate is that there was a time where, in fact, with other Chapter 9 institutions, we've got a forum supporting institutional democracy. It's Chapter 9 and Chapter 10 of the Constitution institution. We have a forum, we meet quarterly, where we discuss a number of our operations, issues relating to those applicants who approach the Child Protector, Human Rights Commission, or the Gender Commission. How do we streamline our investigations and stuff like that? So there was a Kada Asmal report which was done, I think, around 2005 or 2006, which was recommending that there must be a one body, human rights body, though it was merging or proposing merging of the Human Rights Commission, Gender Commission, Commission for Religious and Linguistics, and but the Child Protector and the Auditor General were not impacted. And that committee also, it was recommending, or we recommended when we were analyzing those recommendations that that for now it won't be possible because issues of women, gender issues, are still not yet streamlined into our government, and they still need a very specific focus. But one of the recommendations was that instead of our departments being funded through your department, for instance, we can present our budget to Treasury, we can request additional funding, it still comes through the Department of Justice. Yes, they don't touch it, but at the end of the day, the question was, for all of us, can't we, because we are accountable or we are reporting to Parliament on our activities, especially activities meaning our annual performance plan, how we utilize the budget which we've received, not specifically having to go there and be questioned about how we conducted our investigations. So the independence it's not, your question. On the issue of decolonization of justice, you know, I think the other presenters, and I think going forward you'll still deal more on whether I was telling almost the Rizwano that there are some things which, you know, as the Child Protector, you need to be wary of speaking about as the creator of this constitution. So I think Prince in fact, actually Prince can answer this question for me. And I agree with what he's going to say about whether this I think he tried to mention several things. Is this what that professor from Canada said?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So Prince will answer it for me. So, and Estina Daily Matter. Estina CCA, who asked the question? Anna. Hey, Anna, that thing, eh? And the AXA Matter. You know, it was like time bombs waiting to explode, and I touched them, unfortunately. The AXA Matter, even today, I mean, if you go and read that report, the issue which is still pending, that law which was unlawful, Judge Heath and Judge Davis found that it was an illegal law. Still today, it's not paid. What the court focused on, and litigation the way it is, again, going back to basics, is this the kind of litigation we want to have? Where you only focus on the technicalities and how the matter or how we investigate it. I mean, being punished that I met with the president at the state institution, Being punished that I will meet with the State Security Agency, a Chapter 12 institution, Chapter 11 institution in terms of the Constitution, because I'm investigating, and that's the institution which signed an agreement with that foreign expert or foreign, well, they call him all names, but at the end of the day, that loan is still owed to the South Africans. We still in this poverty, or the people can still benefit from that money, which was never dealt with. The issue of Estina, the investigation and the complaints by DA, 3 complaints, if you read our report also. The former PP finalized the investigation in 2015, though then it was not issued the report, but the complaints was more of how the monies were utilized, and especially it was touching more on the accounting officer. Remember, the politicians are not accounting officers. The DGs and HODs are the ones who receive monies and implement. I think you've seen Mr. Tabete at the state capture inquiry explaining that process. But at the end of the day, what I would say to you is that that judgment we've appealed, the Friday matter, and maybe start with the ABSA matter. The ABSA matter, when it was taken on review by the 3 institutions, I agreed to that the first remedial action 7.2 relating to the mandate of the Reserve Bank to be amended, I agreed that it be set aside, because the way I crafted that remedial action was preemptive, and I agreed that it can be set aside. But irrespective of that, that judge continued to have a hearing on that matter and issued a judgment to Judge Murphy. And after that, the next judge is Judge Pretorius, and then they continued after we requested. Actually, if you can also read the affidavit of the Prime Protector to the Constitutional Court when we were appealing this matter, it detailed the kind of challenges we faced in that particular matter, where one was given, instead of 21 days to prepare an answering affidavit, we were given only 2 days. But again, it's all those concerted efforts to try to make sure that we fail in what we're doing. The challenges which one is facing as a woman, I think it's I've mentioned in one of the address, someone was saying, one professor from UKZM said to me, she was just checking what is happening, because when the media is reporting, it will be like Mkhwebane against the president, Mkhwebane against Gordhan. And they don't focus on the complainant, instead of saying my money versus the president, because my money complaint is not me who lodged that complaint. And Gordhan versus Mkhwebane versus Gordhan. Why not EFF against or Shivamu versus against? So sometimes you face those challenges as a weaker. I don't know whether we are weaker or what, but at the end of the day, possibly it's easy to attack this woman instead of facing people who can be vocal, because they are politicians in their own spaces and deal with these issues. But as you said, we need to, or we are focusing in changing the lives of the people, irrespective of the challenges one is facing, irrespective of that. I'm still waiting for the exact amount, by the way, how much personal costs I must pay. And I said earlier that that is instilling fear in the Prime Protector, and all these other court applications where some cabinet ministers, and we opposed that interdict by Minister Gordhan because of the language which was used, because we couldn't allow it to be, normally we don't oppose interdicts or interdicting our remedial actions or our reports. But unfortunately, the very same judge went ahead and mentioned or used the same language. On that one, we've said it openly that we've lodged a complaint with the Judicial Service Commission, because we don't expect her to use that kind of a language. And unfortunately, there's a disturbing issue that she's now also allocated to one of the other matters, which will be heard soon. But again, it's a question of, if we are fair enough, how do you still subject this institution to the same judges? And going ahead, issuing personal costs, no one asked for them in another matter, but she went ahead as a judge and decided on that. But apparently there's one judge, I don't know whether it was, because sometimes what is written and what the person is saying is different, Judge Hlongwa. I don't know whether he said it, that it's difficult to remove the public protector. So the only way is to bankrupt her and make her unfit to hold that particular office. Possibly then that's the way it's being done, and using the courts to do that. But all I can say, I'll continue doing my work without fear or favor. If I perish, I perish. We are defending the poor, the marginalized. I mean, if you can see the poverty, guys, if you can see what people are subjected to, and we are busy fighting against this woman, creating rules, instead of focusing on the amending what the Constitution is saying about access to land. I mean, if you can check what land can do. There's one of my cousins, he has a small piece of land. He's planting spinach, beetroot, selling to the local, so people, they don't sleep without food. So I think those are the things we should be focusing on, and even the very same MPs which we voted for to help us to achieve that. So on the issue of the, I don't know which program director, I want to be very correct. People, yes, people with disability. People living with disability. As an office, we've tried our level best to make sure that even our newsletters, we have braille in all our engagements, in our road shows, we use sign languages. But that complaint I will gladly receive. We can work together, and also then capacitate the PENSA and even the CRL. So I think we will have to do that, because there's still a lot which needs to be done, and that it's a challenge in the country, because we say one thing, but practically we are not making sure that everyone enjoys the very same rights we are saying they need to be. So I will appreciate it if you can just put it down in writing. We can register that as a complaint or a systemic complaint, and then I will approach the other institutions to do that. And then the gender-based violence, I think all of us, we need to work together. It's an issue of somebody was addressing on gender-based violence, this issue of men are trash, which I was also not agreeing with. But when she explained it, she said, you know, having a privilege, white privilege, compare it to men privilege. So as a man, it's fine for you, sometimes you just turn a blind eye when your girlfriend, or when somebody's girlfriend is being put, or when you organize girls for some men to go to the club, you know, so she was saying those issues, they contribute also to this. Are you as men turning a blind eye because you are privileged by your nature, because you are protected? So I think that goes a long way, that we can all work on it. But as an institution, if there's a delay in investigations, we come in, especially we also issue reports, or we investigate where the justice system is failing the victims on those issues. I think I've addressed all the issues, but the one I've handed over to Mr. Chris.